In the 90s, Playmates Toys made the deepest line of Star Trek action figures in history. My name's Keith, and I'm a collector working towards owning all 284. I've been a Trek fan for almost 35 years, and most people are sick of me talking about it. But somehow I've convinced my old friend Mike to review them with me on Look at My Star Trek Toys! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Look at My Star Trek Toys. Gonna be another exciting review today because today we are continuing our 2022 Playmates reviews. Now, Mike, do you happen to remember who we're reviewing today?
Yes. Well, we have a lot on the slate. A little peek behind the curtain. We're doing a bunch today. But, Keith, it just might be this guy?
It just might be that guy, and here's the exciting part. You see, Mike's got it in his hand. Guess what? Boom! So do I! We are going to do a simultaneous unboxing. Going to be very excited. We're going to do our Jean-Luc Picard this week. And so I'll say right up front, this copy of Picard was sent to us by Playmates as a reviewer copy. We did not pay for it. However, as I said before, they have asked absolutely nothing in terms of our opinions or any of our solicitations. So I will be completely honest, but Mike is going to be even more honest because you paid for... Oh, wait. Did you pay for it, Mike?
Ostensibly, yes, Keith. Money was exchanged. It might be not the figure I ordered, but regardless, it came in a box and money came out of my account. That seems to be a offer acceptance contract. It's paid for. So if it's garbage, it's going in the garbage. Not true.
Well, fair enough. Yeah, so you had yet another Amazon shipment in your favor. I don't know. Your good luck, you need to save for more important things, or at least more expensive things.
Yeah, really. And let me tell you, I order a lot from Amazon, so it is not, it's weird. The only two mishaps I've had in my favor over the past decade have been Star Trek action figures.
I think it's a sign. Yeah, I mean, I will say this. I don't know if it was a mishap, but it was something fortunate. I know a lot of people don't want to buy the renewed stuff or the stuff that's been returned and sent to you. I do it all the time. Because usually the thing is perfect and you get it for cheaper and you're helping prevent landfill waste. But actually, I once ordered a set of lights renewed that were like, basically for this. So it was like a 2-piece lights and it was, about $40 or whatever. And I was like, okay, I bought it. And what shows up at my house is in this huge carrying case. It's like 100 and something pounds. And guess what? They sent me the super deluxe renewed lights as opposed to the one I ordered. So sometimes if they don't have it, they'll just upgrade it with a better system. So I was very excited about that. How do we get onto this, Mike? We're off topic
Keith,
already.
Let me segue back to our actual show we're doing. Speaking of Amazon, it was brought to our attention through the comments on our YouTube channel, which you can check out, which you're already on.
Yeah, you're already here.
Yeah. That we aren't linking to the products, which doesn't make a lot of sense since you probably might want to buy them, depending on our review or depending on just what you see for your own eyeballs. So we will link to the products in the comments in the show notes. Just know that these are Amazon affiliate links, so we do get a portion of the proceeds should you decide to buy. Helps the channel, which is something we're trying to do, growing organically and financially, Keith.
Absolutely. So click on the links below and buy all this stuff, and it helps us, and we very much appreciate that. You want to know what else helps us, Mike? That is our patrons. You can find it patreon.com/K&M. Get lots of bonus material, bonus episodes. You can watch Mike do Deep Space Nine. I know we need to get to the figure. We're going to get there. We have chapters, everybody. Relax. Just use the chapters if you don't want to hear this. But Mike, who are our patrons today?
We always thank and we always love Brian Kaufman, Casey Clark, Cloud Lover 69. It's an inside joke, but it is a real person. Jason, Mo, Jorge Navoa, Anne. The Mysterious. Alan Zimmerman, CRM Productions, Charles Babbage. Do you want a cool moniker like Anne the Mysterious? You can get one and get your name on this slide. Patreon.com/K and M.
You could make us say just about anything. So there's only a very few things we won't actually say. So give it a try. See what happens. That will be fun. So like I said, what do you say? Let's get into it, because we are going to be reviewing the Playmates 2022 Jean-Luc Picard. Here he is in the classic season 3 through 7 uniforms, the most iconic uniform. Mike, you chose when CRM Customs did your custom action figure to use this uniform.
I did.
Why is that?
Well, like you said, it's the classic. I like the red and black combo, always have. It's kind of my thing. Always got my red and black sneaks. I've got a red and black sort of something happening. It's slimming, which is helpful as you get a little bit older. And additionally, as I've mentioned many times, but to those of you who are new on the channel, my connection to TNG is not, I haven't watched it all the way through. Keith knows this, but I have watched quite a bit of it. It was my kind of comfort food when I would stay home from school, all the way from middle school to high school. And so it's comfortable. It's familiar. Jean-Luc wearing this outfit here is what I know. And so if I had to be immortalized in 4.5 scale, Playmate style, this is what I wanted.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, it is the iconic, at least for our generation, for people our age, it's the home base. If you're older, it's the original series. If you're younger, maybe it's Disco, maybe it's Strange New Worlds. But for us, this is it. So I'm very excited to take a look at this figure. So I think without further ado, oops, that's the wrong thing. The first mistake of the day.
That happens.
Let's check out the box here, shall we? So here I am. I've fallen behind.
Layers, yeah.
I fell behind. I fell behind. All right, look, I'm running the show today again. Mike usually runs it. That's why it's a little smoother, but here I am.
Yeah, because behind the curtain. We film it like a live stream. We just don't do it as a live stream. We made a decision to do that for some reason, and it doesn't make any sense. Don't ask questions. Keith and Mike do things the way they do them.
No, you normally think that, okay, so you're not gonna do it live, right? So you can edit it, you can fix it. We're not gonna do that.
Yeah, very rarely. Very rarely do we do that.
That's not what we're gonna do, but we are going to look here at the packaging in our retro Playmates 22 packaging, which of course is the reminiscent of the original packaging. And I just so happen to have another Picard from that era. Now, I understand that this is not exactly the same one because I don't actually have that one in box, but let's face it. The only difference between this figure and this figure in terms of the uniform is the little stripe for season 1 and 2. So I think it's a pretty fair approximation. So as we've talked about many times before, and we don't need to necessarily harp on, the scale of the card is obviously much smaller. We have the later version J as opposed to just the cutout, which I definitely appreciate when I have to dig around and find one because I hang them up like a toy store in the basement. So I definitely appreciate not having to pull out all the other ones to get to it, which I imagine is why they did it. So let's see what kind of choking hazards he comes with here. We are all gray and black for this figure. No stickers. Now you'll note.
I like the little data pad there. No, the laptop, the compact Presario.
It's right. It's a gateway laptop. Yeah, which in this one, I don't know what series this is, but back in the 90s, it looks like he has the same choking hazards that probably the other Picards came with. These ones back in the 90s are blue. I prefer the gray to the blue, but these have the stickers on them. And look, I mean, those are pretty detailed stickers. You actually have two angles of the ship. I feel like the
stickers, even though it's just a little touch, it adds such an element of immersion that is missing on the new ones.
Yep, it sure is. But he has the smaller phaser, not the full Dustbuster. but in both there. So same choking hazards as the original one. Same molds, just gray and black, no stickers as opposed to blue.
Interesting on the packaging also. Does it say on the left one? I see. I'm sorry, I'm looking through the internet. It's hard for me because you're running the show. It's a little bit pixelated on my side. But regardless, it says bonus Action Starfleet base, which is interesting to me because the base comes with all of them, doesn't it? What's the bonus?
It does. Yeah, that is interesting.
What does it say on the original or the first whatever one you got?
Oh wait, hold on. Where did you see it said
far
a bonus?
Left in the middle, under Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Oh yes, bonus Starfleet Action base. Yeah, it says the same thing on both.
Huh. Okay.
So I mean, it comes standard and yet still a bonus. If you call it a bonus, it's a bonus.
Yeah, I guess that's
yes. Right. We don't need to harp on it because we've already said it a million times. Yes, of course, I'd much rather have that bonus Starfleet Action base than that bonus Starfleet Action base. So we're losing out in the choking hazards. We knew this already. But at least they're not like purple or orange because that's some nonsense. Let's look at the back, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
So again, we get a lot of complaints because we don't open the box fast enough. Chapters. You're going to like it. So we see here, obviously, we don't have our Skybox Collector card in the new one. It's the same deal as before. I think it's time. Mike, do you think it's time for our episode, or once an episode check for typos?
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that there's no fun thing to read, but maybe I'll do a check read of the back. Okay.
Well, I'll read his bio.
Okay.
And then yes. Star Trek The Next Generation. Aboard the USS Enterprise NCC-1701D, Starfleet's flagship, Captain Jean-Luc Picard leads an elite crew on its continuing mission to boldly go where no one has gone before. Okay, so that's clean.
All right, let's check out what gear comes. Starfleet gear.
Starfleet gear.
Hand phaser with phase beam. In stun mode, it can neutralize most known life forms. On higher settings, it can be destructive. To be used as a defensive weapon only. The pad with 2 Ds, personal access display device for recording all of the captain's personal notes and actions. Personal view screen and audio and visual communications and computing device. The Starfleet Action base. Stand him up or plug him to his base. Picard's always ready for action. That's for sure. And then tricorder with holster for monitoring all known life forms and insert matter. Keith, looks like they got it right this time.
Insert matter. Yeah. Looks good. All right. So, Mike, what do you say? We shall we pop them open?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead? I'm not even going to put that on film because people only need to see us open one. But I will put him up on his little spinny base here in post, so you can see him spinning as Keith opens.
Yeah, folks, we got them. Because not only did Mike start buying them and start doing research on runabouts and such, he actually bought his own his own spinny base so he can shoot them himself. That's he is so stuck.
Keith, as you started, I want to make a general comment to our viewers, just so everyone knows. Keith and I are choosing a very positive tone. We'll be critical when it tends to be necessary, but check out the comments on a lot of these videos. There are very critical critiques, as is the internet, and all those are valid. We just choose to be a little bit more positive about things. So if you want to air and vent, you can do so in the comments. We totally get it. It's not that we're ignoring those things. It's just that we're excited. We're happy. You know what I mean?
It's a toy.
It's a toy.
And yes, I like all of my critiques about various iterations of Star Trek and various iterations of these toys and decisions that made. Like I'm not swallowing any of my feelings about them, but it's a toy, guys. It's a toy. It's fun. All right, so let us
that we're privileged enough to be able to afford and are available to us in North America very easily. So all that privilege fully noted.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, so we've got the seat belts.
While you're seatbelting, Keith, a couple of things I noticed right off the top, right off the get, and I think we've mentioned it before, but I want to say it again. Technology advancing is pretty awesome because, and we'll do a close-up a little bit later, the facial sculpt here is absolutely 1,000% Patrick Stewart. You look at the old, like he has a very distinct nose, and it is 1-to-1 replicated here. It's if we can get a macro view on your camera, it is perfect. This facial sculpt.
Let us take a look at. Come on, focus. Got too much in the background. You can do it. There we go. Yeah, that is definitely the
turn
best.
On profile, because the profile view is, he's got a little bit of a. It's exactly his nose, man.
Wow, that's excellent. That is the best Patrick Stewart sculpt Playmates has ever done.
If we were to look at the other Picard, any of the other Picards, I mean, it's clearly him, but it is not.
You mean like this one?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got it ready to go. Yeah, I mean,
even the hair. Look at the hair.
Well, and they were talking about how both the hair and the paint is done with UV now, which is crazy. Sort of ultraviolet light painting. Come on, focus. Come on, you were doing so good for so long. But it's... Why won't you focus? There we go. I mean, just... They're able to do much more subtle paint, I think, this way. Because the wrinkles don't like stick out super bold on the forehead. It's much more delicately shaded than it would be otherwise. And if we go to our old school version, which I do have this one unboxed, yeah, I mean you have to sort of sculpt the. I think the hair and stuff gets sculpted less in the 2022 version than it does in the original one, because you can see it's much more embossed, whereas this is more like they scraped it out a little bit and painted it as opposed to added another layer. It looks like to me.
He definitely scaled differently. His body, he's less jacked, and your results may vary. Keith and I prefer the matte paint, but I'm sure there are those who like it a little bit more shiny, like the gloss paint. But
Yep. And here's, of course, where we hit our biggest liability, and that is, of course, our copyright on the back. Again, everybody in the world has complained about that ad nauseum, so we will spare you that. But
I will say the way they emboss it in is at least it does hide it in some respect. I mean, you can feel it, but
a little bit. It's interesting the back of his head here, where he's able to nod, but that feels like a bigger notch than one of the other figures.
Yeah, that is noticeable. The other thing I noticed that I think is pretty cool about these new versions, and I didn't see them on because my Saru and my Kirk both have boots, is with the regular shoes with the V cutout. The V cutout is kind of like the back of the jacket on one of the other characters. There's a bit of a flex there.
There is a flex there. Yeah,
which is kind of cool. It gives it more resemblance of material. Like if you compare it to the old
whole
ones.
Plastic, yeah. I mean, and all the plastic is more flexible than the classic Playmates line. And I wonder, will it then be a little bit less destructible or a little bit more destructible? Because like these original ones you can hammer in a nail with. And I wonder if they're going to break down a little faster. You know what? Talk for a second. Let me go grab data, because I want to look at the back of the head notch a little bit.
Okay.
So hold
his hands also look on the mini side a little bit too, which is I think something we complained about on the data figure. So I'll have Keith check that as well. It wasn't as egregious in the Saru or the Kirk, but it's looking like these next gen figures have a bit of the mini hand syndrome. What I'll do in post is I'll get some close-ups as well, so we can kind of show you as much as we can in detail. But let me ask Keith. Keith, the other thing that I had noticed that I want you to check is that we didn't notice it on the Riker, but on the data you mentioned the mini hands. I feel like Picard's having a little mini hand syndrome also.
Well, let's put them up side by side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're a little small, but they're definitely bigger than Data's hands.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Look at that. I mean, if they hold hands, like Picard's hands are definitely bigger than Data's hands, which again, like calls out, it's really strange that Data's hands are so small. But on the back of the head, I think they're a little bit hamstrung by
The
baldness.
articulation. Or baldness.
Well,
yeah.
it's. I mean, the articulation, sure, but Data has the same articulation, but you have a natural crease where the back of his hair goes, whereas with Patrick Stewart, it's much higher. So then you sort of have to have a fleshy part stick out that doesn't naturally seamlessly go into the neck like Data's does. So I think that I don't know exactly how you fix that without losing some articulation in the neck. But yeah, I mean, that definitely feels a little like he's got a head on a stick there.
Now, Keith, I'll maybe you'll be able to see on my spinny shot, but that hasn't happened yet, so it's hard for me to show you. But on the front of my Picard, where the uniform painting has a bit of that like sort of asymmetric triangle type thing, I have some inconsistencies in the paint. Like I have a little bit of a red splotch that made it onto the black, and the line isn't straight.
Oh.
Do you see that at all? No, yours is pretty good.
No, mine's really clean, actually.
So clearly there are some inconsistencies here and there.
And of course, that makes me wonder in terms of the UV painting. I'm assuming that's for the facial painting and all like the super little details, not like the basic red and black. I assume. So I'm wondering if that's done with a different process. I've seen like some online that had the face like on the side of the head, which is pretty terrifying. But mine looks pretty clean. But
your results may vary then.
Your results may vary, folks. Yeah. So I mean, in terms of the figure itself, I really like it. I think it. I mean, yes, my biggest complaint, other than the stuff we've talked about a million times, like the copyright, is the little notch in the head. I think for me, I'd rather lose a hair of the articulation to make that a little more seamless. Because if you tie it up like that, it looks okay. And the only thing that buys you, right, not having that notch on the side is for him to like look up a little bit. But like, it's kind of a weird thing anyway. Picard is a straight on guy. So like if you can keep your side to side, that would be my only sort of minor complaint. So I mean,
I guess
compared to the
it's application, right? So when I was a kid, when I played with toys as a toy, what's funny is that I barely used the articulation anyway. I sort of just kind of ham-fisted them and sort of doing whatever I was having them do. My imagination took over, right? I'm happy for the extra articulation, but I feel like the articulation is more in service of display. And in that regard, if display is the intended use case, then yeah, you want that extra articulation. Generally, you're going to display from the front, right? And so you want to have a little bit of facial positioning ability. So I guess its application is important there. Yeah,
no, and I think that's true. And certainly as we're gonna show whenever we get around to it, what you're able to do with the play sets and the articulation that this is able to, like the On the Bridge play set. Like it's amazing how much better it looks because of their articulation, their leg and hip and all that kind of stuff. Do you not have
the bridge playset handy?
I do, but we're not lit for it.
Oh,
so
okay.
I know.
We have a couple of promises. We've promised we would show you guys the playset, how these guys fit in, and we will do that.
We will do that. And in terms of scale, so if we line these guys up at the exact same place, you can see that, yes, it is taller by a little bit, not monumentally, but certainly another quarter inch, half inch in scale bigger than the original Picard. So that's one of the things, but it's also in much better proportion, for sure.
It's a completely different art style, right? So it's not really a better or worse. I think it's what do you like? What do you prefer? I mean, it's like taking an old video game and remastering it. Do you prefer the old pixel art graphics? Yeah, maybe, but you can't deny that is more a more what's the word I'm looking for? Specific likeness, right?
Yes, and it's funny. One thing that these ones can't do, or anything like that, your shoulder goes this way, it does not go out. Now, of course, when you do spin these things, when you do scarecrow them, their arms are kind of skinny. Does that feel skinny to you?
It's hard because he's next to like Beefcake Picard, so.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I mean these figures are they're slim and trim. They're not the
one of these two
fed.
is taking creatine, and the other one is on a purely keto diet.
Exactly. One of them's a marathon runner, and one of them lifts. That's that's how that works. But yeah, I mean, it's a good figure. Let's take a look at the choking hazards are the same. Again, I wish they had the sticker. That would be cool. And he's got his, yeah. So these do not have the little hand grips that Data's does. Yeah. So there you go. Oh.
Ooh. Wow, we just got a couple subscribers from that shot.
Yeah, well, Patrick Stewart's it's a good-looking dude. Whether he's running or lifting, Patrick Stewart's still Patrick Stewart. So, yeah, all right. The communicator's a little smaller in this. It's the same as Data. So, Mike, I think it's time for.
Well, first, let's just appreciate, Keith.
Yeah.
Is it another monumental first? It's Papa's first Picard. There's been many Picards in the series, but there's only one first, and this is my first.
That's true. It's Mike's very first Picard, which I believe Picard was probably my first figure. Period, as well. So back in the Galoob days,
yep, that
was my first, probably my first figure. I think I got Geordi and Worf at the same time, but in our heart, we always lead with Picard. So, yeah. So, Mike, I think it's time for you to fly yourself in, and let's do a thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you say?
Yeah, I have to say, I think the likeness is really cool. I think that, yes, they've taken some shortcuts, no stickers, the base, and then, we have our clear concerns about the copyright. We've been really upfront about that. But that said, I think you can tell Keith and I are sort of in the bag for this whole line so far. So I'm gonna say I'm giving the Picard thumbs up.
Yeah, no, I mean it's true. I mean the downsides are the downsides, but once again, I do think that the upsides outweigh the downsides, and I'm gonna give it a good thumbs up as well.
So the question then becomes, Keith and friends, I've only got three action figures unboxed at this juncture. I've got my Picard, I've got my Kirk, I've got my Saru. There's another guy waiting for next week. So, but 3 means someone has to be in the middle. Like Kirk gets deference to Picard, right?
No, I think. Well, see, this is where we get into the generational question, right? Like for me, Picard is the man. Right, and so Kirk is not number 1.
Okay,
it's Picard, but I think you have to go with your heart.
Well, only one of these characters, only the actors playing these characters has been to space.
Yet.
Okay, yeah, fair.
But yeah, I mean, but that's the great part about Trek, right? It is continually changing and evolving and succeeding and failing and but I know how much people hate Discovery, and like, believe me, I have my complaints as well, but like the people complaining about Discovery so earnestly sound exactly like the original series fans who, when Next Generation came out, it's like I get it, it's different, and there are some parts of it that are better and some parts of it that are worse, and I have notes. Trust me, I have notes. But that's part of what Star Trek is. It is continually evolving, and you get to choose your own number 1 captain. And honestly, you put a gun to my head, I'm not sure if it's Picard or Sisko. So, but there are arguments to be made for all of them, for Kirk, for Janeway.
We have one more question. Not more. I have, since we've covered this, I'd like to, before we go to the outro here, I have a request for our viewers. So I've been going into every Target and Walmart that I pass, and I'm looking for when these are going to start rolling out. What's the display going to be like? How are these going to be? You know, because shelf space is limited, especially in the toy aisles these days. I even checked Macy's as we're getting some Toys R Us pop-ups in some Macy's stores, and I've yet to see any shelving. I've yet to see any of these hit our stores here in Pennsylvania in the Northeast of the United States. But I know that they have trickled out in some places. So if you have seen any in stores, I'm really curious about how they are displaying them. If you could shoot a little snapshot with your phone and send that off to, lookatmystartrektoys@gmail.com?
That's right.
We would appreciate that. If you don't mind, we'll feature them on the show and start compiling how these look. And when we see them here, we'll get that video up as well.
I like that. Yeah, found in the wild. I want to see where they're popping up too, and especially for all of our international viewers who haven't had any of these yet. I'm certainly hoping they get to you quickly and without being scalped. Because look, all of our reviews and all of our feelings about these figures are predicated on some level on price point, right? This isn't a $50 figure. This is a $15 figure. And what you're getting for $15 is extraordinary. And comparing it to the Diamond Selects or some of the other ones, it's unfair, right? Your budget is wildly different. And for $15 or what, the $12.99, you can get it on Amazon. Click the link below and use our code. Yeah. For that price point, this is an extraordinary figure. So just putting that out there, copyright aside, weird base aside, for what the amount of money you're paying for it, it's a deal. So, yeah, leave us all of your opinions and thoughts and feelings below. You can email us at lookatmystartrektoys.com. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/K&M. Spell out that and till then, we will see you back here next week with another episode of Look at My Star Trek Toys.